My grandpa passed away when I was 25, leaving me his most prized possession, a massive 900-acre ranch. I basically grew up on that land, spending every summer helping him with the chores, riding horses, and listening to his stories under the stars. He was more than a grandfather. He was my hero, my mentor, and my best friend. The ranch wasn't just dirt and fences. It was our shared history, filled with memories I cherish deeply. He always told me, one day, this will all be yours, kid. Take care of it, and it'll take care of you. I never really thought that day would come so soon. The funeral was one of the hardest days of my life. Friends and family gathered to pay their respects, sharing fond memories of Grandpa. The atmosphere was somber, but filled with love. That is, until a woman I barely recognized started making a scene. Her name was Karen, and she was the head of the Homeowners Association for the small, upscale community that bordered the eastern edge of our ranch. She lived in one of those cookie-cutter McMansions and had always been a thorn in Grandpa's side, constantly complaining about everything from the sound of our cows to the dust from our tractor. Right in the middle of the eulogy, as I was struggling to hold back tears, Karen's sharp voice cut through the silence. "Where is the will?" she demanded, looking straight at me. A collective gasp went through the room. People turned to stare. I was completely stunned. Who does that at a funeral? My uncle quickly stepped in and quietly told her it was neither the time nor the place. But Karen wasn't having it. "I have a right to know," she insisted, her voice getting louder. "My community's property values are at stake. What's going to happen to all this land?" It was clear she didn't care about my grandpa at all. She only cared about how his passing would affect her. The next week, I met with my grandpa's lawyer, Mr. Henderson. He confirmed what Grandpa had always promised me. The entire 900-acre ranch was mine, free and clear. There was, however, one interesting clause. Grandpa, knowing how much trouble Karen had caused him over the years, had included a specific right of first refusal for the HOA. He stipulated that if I ever decided to sell the land, I had to offer it to them first, at a price determined by an independent appraiser. Mer Henderson chuckled and said, "Your grandpa had a unique sense of humor. He knew they couldn't possibly afford it, but he wanted to give them the chance to put their money where their mouth is." It didn't take long for Karen to get wind of the will's contents. She called an emergency HOA meeting and managed to whip the other residents into a frenzy. They were convinced I was going to sell the land to a developer who would build a massive, low-income housing project right next to their pristine neighborhood. The paranoia was unreal. They started a campaign against me, plastering "Save Our Community" signs everywhere and sending me nasty, threatening letters. Karen was the ringleader, spreading rumors that I was a reckless kid who would destroy my grandpa's legacy for a quick buck. Tired of the constant harassment, I decided to take Mr. Henderson's advice and call their bluff. I hired a certified appraiser who valued the ranch at a cool $30 million. It was a fair market price, considering its size, location, and potential. As per the will, I formally sent the offer to the HOA, giving them 90 days to accept or decline. I knew they didn't have that kind of money, but I had to follow the legal process. This is where things got really interesting. Karen, blinded by her own arrogance, saw this as a victory. She told everyone at the next HOA meeting, "See, he's trying to sell. We have to buy it to protect ourselves." She convinced the board to take out a massive loan to acquire the land. They drained their reserve funds, and every single homeowner in that community had to agree to a special assessment, a huge, immediate increase in their HOA dues that would last 4 decades to secure the financing. Many residents were furious, but Karen had worked them into such a state of fear that the majority voted in favor. They were so afraid of a phantom developer that they were willing to bankrupt themselves. They actually did it. They pooled their resources, secured the loans, and scraped together the $30 million. On the final day of the 90-day period, I received a certified check from the HOA's lawyer. I was officially $30 million richer, and they were the proud owners of a 900-acre ranch they had absolutely no idea how to manage. I have to admit, it felt a little surreal. I used a portion of the money to buy a smaller, more manageable ranch a few counties over, a beautiful place where I could continue the life my grandpa taught me to love, but without the headache of a neighboring HOA. The aftermath for Karen and her community was, to put it mildly, a complete disaster. The special assessment they'd voted for was crushing. Homeowners saw their monthly dues skyrocket to thousands of dollars. The burden was so immense that people started to default. Then came the property taxes on the 900-acre ranch, which the HOA hadn't even factored into their budget. They were astronomical. The HOA was bleeding money faster than they could collect it. They tried to manage the ranch themselves, but they were clueless. They didn't know how to care for the livestock, maintain the fences, or manage the water rights. The beautiful land my grandpa had nurtured for 50 years quickly fell into disrepair. The fields became overgrown with weeds, and the infrastructure started to crumble. Their dream of a pristine, private nature preserve turned into a nightmare of financial ruin and neglect. Within a year, the HOA was forced to declare bankruptcy. The bank foreclosed on the ranch and all the HOA's common assets. Because the HOA was bankrupt, they couldn't maintain the community's roads, pool, or clubhouse anymore. The neighborhood started to look shabby. The massive debt caused property values, the very thing Karen claimed she was protecting, to plummet. Many residents lost their homes. The for sale signs that once targeted me were now planted in their own front yards. And what about Karen? Her grand plan had backfired spectacularly. She was ousted as HOA president in a furious and bitter meeting. The neighbors who once hailed her as their savior now saw her as the architect of their destruction. She became a pariah in her own community. Last I heard, she had to sell her McMansion at a huge loss and move away, unable to face the mess she had created. She got exactly what she deserved. Her greed and arrogance cost her everything. Sometimes, you just have to give people enough rope, and they'll do the rest. My grandpa would have found the whole situation hilarious. He got the last laugh, and I got a fresh start. All thanks to his brilliant, final plan. Thanks for listening to my story. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button and subscribe for more. See you next time.